God's directive to Abraham, was it not contradictory to his own law, particularly the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill"? This question takes us back to the ancient narrative told in the book of Genesis. We find Abraham, a man of great faith, faced with an unimaginable command from God. God, in a test of Abraham's faith, commands him to take his beloved son, Isaac, to the land of Moriah, and offer him as a burnt sacrifice. This commandment at first glance seems to clash with one of God's most fundamental laws, the sixth commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." A law that emphasizes the sanctity of life, and the divine prohibition against taking it. So how do we resolve this apparent contradiction? Is there a deeper meaning to this story that reconciles God's command to Abraham with his own law? As we dive deeper into this intriguing narrative, let's ask ourselves, was God contradicting his own commandment? To truly understand this seeming paradox, we need to delve deeper into the act itself. Imagine for a moment the era in which Abraham lived. This was a time when sacrifices, even human sacrifices, were not uncommon. They were seen as the ultimate act of devotion, a way to appease the gods and secure their favor. Yet, God's command to Abraham was different. It wasn't just about the act of sacrifice, but a test of obedience and faith. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son Isaac, a demand that seems to be in direct conflict with the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." But we should remember that Abraham was not just asked to kill, he was asked to sacrifice. These words, while seemingly similar, hold vastly different connotations. A sacrifice, in the context of Abraham's act, was about surrendering something of immense value to show faith and reverence towards God. In this light, the act was not as much about the physical act of killing, but about demonstrating unwavering faith. Abraham's willingness to carry out the command showed his complete obedience and trust in God. This was not a senseless act of violence, but a profound demonstration of faith. So the act, while seemingly in conflict with God's law, was more about obedience and faith. But does this resolve the paradox? To answer this, we need to revisit the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." The sixth commandment, as many of us know it, is rooted in the original Hebrew texts of the Bible. But let's delve a little deeper. The Hebrew word used here, ratsak, is often translated as kill, but it's more accurate to interpret it as murder, a premeditated, unlawful act of taking another's life. This distinction is crucial as it suggests the commandment is specifically against wrongful killing, not all forms of taking life. In the context of Abraham and Isaac, God's command can be viewed as a divine directive, not an act of murder. Therefore, it wouldn't be in direct conflict with the commandment. However, it's important to remember that interpretations can vary, and biblical scholars continue to debate these nuances. This reveals a different perspective on the commandment, suggesting that it may not be as straightforward as it seems. In light of these insights, let's revisit our initial query. We've delved into the story of Abraham and Isaac, scrutinized the act of sacrifice, and re-examined the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." We discovered that this biblical narrative is not about endorsing violence, but about faith, obedience, and the complexity of interpretation. While the question of whether God's command to Abraham was in conflict with his own law may initially seem contradictory, a deeper understanding reveals a complex interplay of faith, obedience, and interpretation.